Hey dreamers, Leo here with the Dreaming Tree, and today we're putting together our Noel light up. And in just a moment here, you'll see some of the various pieces, including our cool dimensional tree that we'll be putting together. Perfect for a mantle, dinner table, or just a console table, anywhere in your house, basically, that you want to add some ambiance for your upcoming holidays. So we do have a really cool dimensional tree here. I'm going to go through that in just a minute and show you how it goes together. It starts off flat like this. You'll notice that on this, I actually did this with liquid pearls. Every single one of these little drops is a liquid pearl. Now, you don't have to do as many. You can actually do maybe less, but make them bigger. I think if I did it again, maybe that's what I would do. Or you could just find a patterned piece of paper that sort of looks like ornaments for a tree. However you want to go about doing it, however you want to decorate your tree, that's totally up to you. I just kind of wanted to show you what we have here. But anyway, essentially it's 4 boxes, and then we have the dimensional tree that we put on top of it. So I'm going to go through some paper piecing stuff here real quick, get that out of the way. Again, each box, well, all 4 boxes together spell out Noel. And the O is a snowflake, so we have N-O-E-L. And the other side is going to have the same thing, Noel. And you're going to have 8 of these cutouts. This is a gold foil that I ran through an embossing machine with the Sizzix Tiny Dot. And then we have these pieces here. So you're going to do this a total of 8 times. I did this behind the scenes here before I started filming so that I wouldn't have to do it 8 times and bore you to death. So what you're going to do to get this piece ready is just throw a little bit of glue on this beautiful gold frame and adhere it to any one of these little panels with the letter on it or the snowflake, doesn't matter. All of these letters, the red panels in this case, are all the same size, as are the gold frames. So you don't really need to worrying about which one goes where or which one needs to be put on which specific letter or whatnot. It doesn't really matter. They're all the same, so it doesn't matter where you put it. Just pick up a gold frame, pop it on top of one of these square pieces, and then just move on to the next one here. And you're going to do that a total of 8 times just to get these pieces prepped. So again, we're just doing some paper piecing here. Nothing difficult at all. And we're going to start off by actually putting together the boxes. The cool thing is too, we're going to save a lot of paper because there's no bottom to the box. So it'd be very easy to lift these up and turn on your electronic tea light, because we're going to light these up. We're going to throw some vellum in here as well and make them light up. It's going to make it extra special, especially in the evening and at night. Okay, so there you can see the little frame on our little panel piece that will eventually go on the box. And I, again, have a total of 8 of them. 1 or 2 that spell out Noel. Okay, so you can just take these and put them off to the side for now. Again, make sure you do all 8. Put those off to the side. And we're going to take a look at the 4 boxes. Okay, and the 4 boxes are pretty much identical. And you can see here I've done a little bit of pre-prep again, just to speed things up. I have some Zots that accidentally got stuck to that. So each box has this little hole here. That's where the tree trunk is going to go. And for each box, you're going to take, and we're going to do a solid panel here, a solid panel here, and then this one here with this hexagon. You're going to get that glued into place and make sure that you have a nice even border around the inside. So I'm going to do a couple with you. That way you guys can actually see it. I don't need to show you how to do it 4 times, which is why I did a few of them off camera just to eliminate some of the monotony, and it'll give me less time to say something incriminating, because I do tend to blab a little bit during my videos. And there we go. So we're going to pop that right in the center, just making sure, using our eyeballs here, just to make sure that we have a nice, as even as possible border along the inside, and then we'll naturally create a border around the outside. I'm using my brayer here just to help speed along the process of that glue setting. And then as I said, either side here we'll take another panel with no hole in it, just a solid panel. No big deal, very simple. Doing all of the very easy paper piecing stuff first, just to get it out of the way, so that once we get into the dimensional stuff, it'll be even easier. Okay, and actually, while we have this box flat, we can actually glue these panels on too. Now, let me see here. Are these panels, is there a border around that? Yes, there is. Okay, so that'll actually be nice and easy. This is actually my first time putting this project together, as it probably is yours as well. Now, obviously, I've made every project, I've assembled, I should say, every project on our site, so I have a lot of experience with our products and our approach to assembly, but odds are many of you are seasoned veterans, may not even be watching the videos anymore, because a lot of this stuff is self-explanatory and kind of falls in line with stuff that we've done in the past. That is until we get to some of this dimensional stuff, like this beautiful tree that we're all going to create here in just a few moments. Okay, so I'll walk you through this part again here on either side, where you just have solid cardstock here and here. That's going to take one of these solid panels, and obviously we've done this in a very traditional color scheme, but you're welcome to make it your own and do it however you want. I know I've seen pink Christmas trees, I've seen some with a lot of purples, and that's fine. Whatever floats your boat, as the old saying goes. Okay, so we're going to do the center one here. Again, making sure that when we apply this, that little hexagon, try to maintain a nice even border all the way around. I just really cake that with glue. That was a little much there. There we go. Okay, so again, just get that right in the center there. Try to make sure you got a nice even border all the way around there. There we go. Just like that. Just drop it in. And how'd I do? I'm gonna get a little nudge that way. That's fine. No one's gonna notice if something's off by 1 or 2 degrees. I think that's probably fair. Anything more than that, it might start looking obvious, but don't give yourself a hard time if you're off by just a couple degrees. And there we go. Last panel is in place. And there we go. Okay. So you are going to repeat that for all 4 of these pieces. We got 4 boxes. Okay. And as I mentioned, we're going to just pop these in place, just get her done. And here's where you need to make a decision. Me personally, I'm not overly concerned about what the inside's going to look like. So these pieces require vellum. I'm going to put the vellum inside. Okay. It's not going to look the best, but again, I'm not going to be looking in there. So I really don't care. It makes it easier to do it this way. And well, it just makes it easier. But if you want, you can actually glue the vellum to the back of this piece and sandwich it between these 2 sections. And then that way it looks cleaner. Okay. But it is a little bit, I think it's a little more difficult. I'll do it both ways just to show you how it works both ways. So for this one, I'm going to put it on the back of this first. And I typically like to just do dots when I apply vellum. Just kind of put some dots around the letter and then a couple here and there inside where you have all the little details. And now you'll notice that I have two different colors of vellum. I have a nice light wintry blue, and then I also have white. The blue we're gonna save for the snowflake. All of the letters get the clear or the white vellum, okay? So that is what it's gonna look like. And now, we should probably wait until the glue sets on that, but we'll go ahead and get that glued down. Now, another thing too, another reason why it may be easier to put the vellum back here is because I think that when it comes time to actually glue this down, it might be easier to get this lined up because if we do it this way with the vellum already on here, it's a little tough to see how to position this on here, okay? Because I mean, you might, if you lift it up and get some light shining through there, it's a little bit easier. Like I'm actually, let me see here, where's my, I don't have my phone anywhere, but yeah, so anyway, you get the point here. I don't know why it was like my sixth grade biology teacher used to say there's more than one way to skin a cat. I thought that was weird, now that I think about it, especially now that I own a cat and love my cat, that he would talk about skinning cats. Who skins cats anyway? All right, so anyway, I'm gonna put this down right on top of the E. Yeah, actually, if you lift it up and get some light poking through here, it's a lot easier to get it lined up. When you don't have any light poking through there, you may get it off a little bit. You may not get it lined up as exactly and precisely as maybe you'd want, but you know what, that works fine. So if you do want to keep it nice and clean inside, you can do it that way. And you know what, I may just do it that way. But I do want to show you at least once how to do it from the inside. So again, with our snowflake here, we need to make sure that we use the different colored vellum, okay? And we'll get the vellum laid down here. I'm gonna start with the perimeter. Just kind of visually create a fake box there. And then you're gonna wanna get some glue on almost these little parts of the snowflake that almost look like little claws, okay? Because we don't want those kind of sticking up. And we're gonna pop this right on there. Just make sure that you cover all of the little cutouts on the snowflake. Okay, so again, this is option 2 for your vellum. We're putting it inside instead of sandwiching it between this layer and the outer wall. Okay, so again, doesn't really matter which way you do it. Either way is fine. And then again, when we put this one on, make sure you rotate it correctly, and then we can just glue that right on. Okay, so flip this guy over, throw some glue on here, and just like we did with the vellum, we definitely want to make sure we get a little drop of glue, just a little dot, right on these claws. And then for this one here, I'm going to take my finger and kind of spread that glue around a little bit right on these claws here so that in case it does spill over, it doesn't blemish my vellum. I don't want that to happen. Now let's take a look here, make sure we've got it lined up accurately, and we do. And just pop it right into place. Okay, come on. There we go. Give it a little nudge that way. There we go. And there we go. Just press that down. And there you have it. Okay, so again, option 1 or option 2, whichever one I'll call it, vellum on the inside. And then the other option, the vellum's actually sandwiched here. Okay, so now we just need to close this up. And that's a very simple process. We'll take our glue and just apply it to one of these tabs here. I'm going to spread that glue out to the very edge. I want this to look nice and crisp. And fold that piece over, line it up, and just give that a nice press there along that tab. There we go. You can put that down on your table and press from the inside as well. Okay, flip this out of the way. And start applying glue on the next section here, next tab. And there we go. Okay. And we'll fold that down. And I could have actually probably been a little bit smarter about how I did that, but I'll show you why in just a second. Okay, and now I did make this harder on myself because I wasn't thinking, but that's okay. I'll show you the difference here in a second. So I did one side, or the snowflake side completely as far as the tabs go first. Should have done half of it at a time. All right, so we've got glue on that tab. We're going to slide that in and tuck it behind this wall. Get it nice and lined up. And just press that down. You can fold that, push that down on your table, press down from the inside. It's actually not that bad. And then there's just one more tab here. It's mostly accessible. Just going to kind of have to put the glue in from the inside, and then I'll take my finger and just run it like that, get that glue out to the very edges, and I'm just going to take that tab and push it up against the inside of this side here. Get it nice and lined up. Press that down into place, and I'll put that down on my surface and press down. Where am I getting glue? Got glue shooting out here. Oh no, that's not. That's old glue. It's old glue. Your old news, old glue. All right, so there's our first box. Pretty much all done. Now you can see we've got this cutout here, which we're gonna put our little tree trunk through here in just a moment. I'll just get that ready to go. Still haven't assembled it. I'll show you how that works, but that's essentially what it's gonna look like. And then we're going to hot glue our little tree to the top of that. So it's going to look cute. But anyway, we do have 3 more boxes to put together. I'm going to walk you through one more. I think that with that instruction, I think you'll be able to handle the rest of it. So obviously for this, and I'll just show you here, you may as well just get this lined up. You're going to need to glue your E there. There's an L that's going to go here. There's an N that goes there. We've got a snowflake there, and then one more N there. So those all need to be glued down there. Now again, it's up to you if you want to sandwich the vellum and then glue it down like that, or if you just simply want to glue the vellum to the inside. Doesn't matter. Whichever way you feel more comfortable with, go for it. And again, I'm just going to go this route because I'm keeping this for myself. I just want to make my life easier. I'm just going to put the vellum inside. If you're selling these, like on Etsy or at a little craft market or whatnot, you will definitely want to sandwich the vellum so everything looks nice and clean and professional. And again, don't forget that you want to make sure that you are using the blue vellum on the snowflake only. Okay, I'll pop that on there. And then we'll flip her over. All right, so moving along here, it's hard to believe that we're already approaching the holidays. And I guess, it's going to be different for everybody this year, but we'll try to make the best of it as we always do. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say about it? It's been a weird year for a lot of things. Oops, what the heck did I just do? Well, I did that the wrong way. Luckily, it's all square and I won't be punished for that. But I guess I'm here in Illinois and they just closed down restaurants again. And I don't know. I'm going to be working out a lot. So hopefully, for those of you that have been watching my videos over the years, I have gained some weight, which is good because at one point, years and years ago, I actually weighed, I was ghostly skinny. And for those of you that follow along with some of my blog posts, it talked about stress and the effects that stress can have on your body and why crafting is a great relief for myself. But I'm 38 now, but I have already had, I've had 2 nervous breakdowns already. And that's just from poor stress management, diet, things like that. I can't even say that I've had anything major happen. But yeah, the point is that this crafting thing is a lot like playing the guitar, and it's very meditative for me. But anyway, so there's our second box. We've got the letters on there, and I'm going to show you this time a different way of doing this that might be a little bit easier. So instead of gluing these 2 tabs on one side, I'm going to glue a tab here and then close it up. And then we can just do the other side all in one fell swoop. This side I'm going to do one at a time. So only one of the tabs is a little more challenging, I guess. This is not hard at all, trust me. But it's, relatively speaking, a little more challenging to glue this tab. Okay, so we'll get that glued down. There we go, nice crisp edge there. And now we'll go to the other side here. Am I doing that right? Yep. Get some glue on this guy here. And spread that glue out to the very edge. I've had a little too much on there. And pop that under. That's not even tough at all, actually. Very simple. And just give it a pinch up and down, like so. Yeah, so of the 3 projects in this bundle, I think this one may take the longest, but I don't think it's going to be that much longer than even the wreath, because so anyway, here's what I'm doing now. Instead of doing 1 tab at a time, since the other side is all in place, you can just do, well, let's see here. There we go. I can do both of these tabs at the same time now instead, because it's going to keep it nice and together for me. And I'll just flip that down, line up one side, get a good visual on it, make sure everything's matching up, and then head on over to the other side and get that nice and matched up. Okay. You can flip that down on your table, press down on the tabs there. You can use a little dowel too if you don't want to have to get your fingers in there. Just pushing down on the little tabs in here and checking my seams, making sure everything's making good contact. And there we have it. So now we have 2 boxes complete. And where's my letters here? I just realized that I can make this spell Leo. Cool. All right, so now that you're busy working on your Leo light up, yeah, so I think at this point you understand the process here. Again, just one more final reminder, just in case you space out like I do occasionally. Just make sure that you use the different colored vellum that you've selected, unless you are using all the same colored vellum, which is okay too. But in the case of our snowflake here, if you are using a different colored vellum, make sure that you pop that on in the correct spot to keep things nice and consistent. And again, I'm going to be using the method where, well, I'm putting the vellum inside. So at this point, you can go ahead and move on or pause me. The next thing we're going to be doing is putting together the little tree trunks. So you can pause me at this point and then scrub through and find the next section where I'm working on the tree trunks. But I am going to go ahead and continue with the assembly of this and just kind of walk you through it step by step here. And then this is kind of where, since I'm doing something redundant, we might get into a little bit of a story time. But as I was saying before, yeah, I had a couple nervous breakdowns, and again, I think that was, you know, there was some self-medicating going on, and and I'm still a pretty anxious person, but I don't let things get to me as bad. Plus, I've cleaned up my diet a lot, which helps. But as far as this year goes, and with all the shutdowns and such, I just think we're just going to be working out, and hopefully we get some snow this year. Take the kids sledding. I don't think there's going to be a lot of places that we're going to be able to go this winter as this, you know, second wave or whatnot comes through, unless of course we get our good old vaccine and people are all on board with that. Might help us return to some sort of normalcy, but can't guarantee it. So anyway, just trying to think of, because here in Chicago during the winters, it's, well, it could get pretty dreary, cold, and we tend to make the best of it and just try to suck it up and get our butts outside in the snow. I think we own like 10 sleds. And yeah, we're that family that we'll go out there with the kids, and probably more often than not, you know, we're acting more goofy than they are going down the hills, in a safe way, of course. I don't need to break my leg or an arm. I need my arms, as you can see. So I'll try not to do anything stupid. So I've got the 2 letters on. I've got the vellum in place, and just like you did before, I'm going to close up the box and get that one out of the way, and then we just have one more. I'll show you how these trees go together here in just a minute. That was really cool. But yeah, as far as what else do we do? I mean, typically, you know, before COVID, we'd try to go to some warm places in the winter, especially warm places with roller coasters. I've become quite the roller coaster enthusiast. I will never go skydiving. We'll never touch a motorcycle. I research and read up on the safety of roller coasters, and I would much rather be in a coaster than in a car. I think they're actually statistically safer, except for the one. For those of you in Wisconsin that have ever been to Mount Olympus, they have a coaster called Hades, and it's one of those old wooden roller coasters. They should probably include a business card to a chiropractor with that coaster as part of you know, your ticket, your admission, because I went on that thing. We actually went on it a couple times, and the first time it was fine, but the last time we sat in the back, because for those of you that like coasters, you know that you get a lot of air time on the back of a coaster, and we did that, and my neck was messed up for at least a month. So I learned my lesson. Don't go on the old rickety wooden coasters, especially ones named after the devil. So, but yeah, we're just gonna be plugging along here with crafts, and hopefully get to see my family a little bit. And yeah, not much else to say about winters in Chicago. But for those of you, we do have celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve, Polish style. So my mom, not so much these days, but still, we do beet soup. In Polish, it's called borscht, and we do pierogies, sauerkraut, and all that good stuff. And been doing that. Yeah, I mean, we kind of kept that tradition, and hopefully I plan on passing it down. For those of you that go to church, there's a part during the Mass where the priest, gives you the opportunity to shake your neighbor's hand and say hello. There's a part during dinner where we do that with the body, and we share it amongst all the family members and tell them we love them, give them a hug and a kiss, and kind of feed them the body of Christ. And it's a kind of a Polish tradition that I grew up with. I consider it normal. But yeah, it's different when you invite your girlfriend for the first time and, they get a taste of it. But, it's cool. It's cool to experience different traditions, and definitely makes life more interesting. There's so much potential diversity out there that I haven't even experienced. That there's a guy on WTTW Channel 11, I think his name is Rick Steves. I really like watching that guy. And he kind of just, travels the world and gets to firsthand experience some of these traditions from different cultures and different countries. And that'd be really fun to do, actually. Speaking of which, I hopefully want to return to Poland next year. I still have one grandmother there who I still talk to. I talk to her in Polish as much as I possibly can. I'm very rusty, so usually when she calls me or I call her, I pull out good old Google Translator and type in what I'm trying to say, and then I try very hard to pronounce it correctly when I'm talking to her. And, we'll have 20, 30-minute conversations where she understands me. And I don't think she really knows I'm using Google Translate, so it makes it seem as if I haven't lost my knack for the language. But in all honesty, you kind of, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, as they say. So, again, this is all redundant. I'm sure by now you know exactly what you need to do. And if you're still watching and wondering why I'm telling this story, it's because I mentioned that, you can kind of do this on your own without listening to me blab, but I was going to continue doing this for anyone else that wanted to listen to me blab. Anyway. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear about your traditions. If you're watching this on YouTube after you get this put together, leave a comment or maybe even a link to an article that talks about your traditions and what you guys do. It'd be kind of fun to maybe adapt something else, or maybe there's a special online that talks about it on YouTube or something, a video. I love history, and history is actually really fun, and all the cultural stuff that comes from history, and especially European, Poland, Germany, where else? Yeah, sort of that area, kind of where I'm from. I definitely want to learn more about it. All right, so we've got the glue on those two tabs. We'll bring this down. Just make sure everything is nicely aligned, like so. And then if we want to, we can flop that down on our table. I use a dowel here, push that tab down into place. There we go. Yep, all right. So next up is our little tree trunks. and I've already put 2 of them together. They're very simple, actually. But they start off like this, okay? And I've already folded everything at the score marks. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this little tab here, and right at the end of that piece, you're gonna throw a little bit of glue on that tab. That was a lot of glue. We'll dab that, thin it out since I overdid it. And we're gonna glue that to the opposite side to make it all one continuous piece. Just tuck that right behind that last section. Make sure it's nice and lined up. And I'm gonna actually squish that down flat because you can glue this down flat. It's symmetrical. So that's where I just placed it down and I'm just leaving it flat. I'll show you that again in case that was confusing. But essentially that's the section right there that I just glued together. Okay, now these tabs here, we're gonna flare these out for just a second. These are actually gonna get glued to the inside of our box. So we're gonna leave those alone for now. But this one here with the little hexagon, we'll take these tabs and push them down, and we're going to apply glue to all 5 of these. And you can go a little bit heavier because I'm ultimately going to use my finger to spread that glue out to the very edges. I want that to look nice and crisp and clean, because that is going to hold our tree in place here in a little bit. So we're going to take the lid here and flip that down and focus on aligning the side opposite of the side that's already anchored. So this side here, get that nice and aligned, and then the rest of it usually will just kind of fall into place. If you need to, you can kind of push the walls in, nudge them a little bit. Okay, but now I'm going to flip this upside down and take my dowel and really push down from inside. I'm actually taking that dowel right up to the very edge here, the wall, and running it against that wall. Not pushing out too much, but trying to push down right up against that wall so we get nice crisp seams going all the way around here on the very perimeter. Okay, that looks pretty darn good. So that is our little tree trunk. We'll do that one more time, just in case you missed something. And this time I'll try not to do it flat as quick. So there's our tab. Let's get our glue on our tab. And I'm just gonna kind of dab that glue, thin it out, and you add a little bit of air to it. It starts to get tacky. So literally taking that tab, tucking it underneath and behind the opposite piece, the side that was opposite of it completely. And just getting those 2 sections glued together like that. And what I did before was I just squished it flat and just pressed on it flat. You can do that, it's totally fine because again, it is a symmetrical piece. Okay, so now it's all one continuous piece here. Let's get our little hexagon out of the way, push these tabs down, and we'll apply our glue to all these tabs and then close it up just like we did with the last one here. I'm gonna dab this out. Okay, so again, just hold that down, let that set, and yeah, at this point, we're gonna pop these in place here. And that is done very simply. So as you saw before, I literally just took this and just slid it up through the little cutout. And you see those little tabs there, those are gonna get glued right to the inside. So I'll show you here, you should be able to see, I've got that tab turned inward. I'm just gonna put a little dot of glue on it, like literally just one little dot. You can see it right on that tab. And then let me do it with this so you can see. I'm gonna flip it and push it up against the inside of the box. I'm gonna do that with my finger and I'll show you the final result here in a second. Just wanna make sure that I got it right. And then you can push down. This is where the tab is. Yeah, you can't see that, but that's where the tab is from the inside. And I'm just pushing down while I'm pushing up with my finger. Okay, and it's that tab right there, nice and securely glued. So I'm gonna flip back the tab opposite from the side that we just glued down. I'll throw a little dot of glue right on there, and then we'll take it and flip it onto the inside of the box like that. Again, I'm gonna do that with my finger, it's easier. And I'm pushing down from up here, right here, as I'm pushing up from the inside. And now you can see this tab and this tab are now in place. So all that's left to do is you can just go around here at this point and put glue on the remaining 4 tabs and just get those popped into place. Shouldn't take long at all, and I'll show you what the end result looks like here in just a second. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, those are done. And then these are the last 2 that I got to do. So I'll flip those in, and just a dot of glue, and we'll flip it back out like so. I'm gonna use my finger to push that up into place. Okay, so that's that. And there you have it. The tree trunk is all in place here, ready for our tree that we're going to hot glue to the top, and that's going to look really cool. So one done. You need to repeat that process 3 more times. So again, take another little tree trunk, pop it through the little slot there. Should fit perfectly, nice and snug. And again, start with 1 tab, get it anchored. Doesn't matter which one, I just pick one. Get that nice and anchored, press that into place. And then go to the tab opposite of that one. You could probably do the one next to it and just go clockwise, counterclockwise. I just find that this gives me the best results because it kind of helps keep it nice and centered and in position. And I can do 1, 2, there you go, just like that, and push that into place. And then the next one, so we have 2 done, and we just need to put glue on the remaining 2, and I'll use just flip those over. I think you get the point now. So you're going to repeat that 2 more times with the 2 remaining boxes to get all of our little tree trunks in place. And then I'll show you how the tree works, because we got our feet nice and wet here, working on some 3D assembly, some paper piecing, and it'll be time to do some dimensional work. But this is going to be unlike anything you've ever done as far as dimensional work goes. Because it's dimensional, but it's not. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a bit. It's a little bit different, but it makes it easy. Instead of having to build a 3D tree like that, it'll be cool. I've got a nice pattern for it. And just got to get these tree trunks in place. Great little gift too, and like I said, it's the perfect size for a mantle because you can kind of squeeze them together or spread them apart depending on how much room you need them to take up, or I guess how little room you maybe need them to take up because maybe you're limited on space. I have a little, I guess they're the console tables in one of my hallways, and it makes it sound like I have corridors and...
How can I help?
Siri, I was not talking to you.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to be rude. She's back there. Okay, so just finishing up the last tree trunk here. And then as I mentioned, I would definitely recommend hot gluing. I have my hot glue gun getting warmed up over here already. I'd recommend hot gluing these trees to the tree trunks only because, well, the Scotch tacky glue, it's pretty quick, but this is a little heavy. And actually, you know what, you probably could, because we specifically made the tree trunk base a little bit wider so this thing wouldn't droop or hang to the left or to the right or bend forward or whatnot, okay? But we've got these all good to go here. I'm going to leave these here for a second, and the trees are going to go right on there. Let's see what that's starting to look like. That looks really cool. But let me show you how the trees work. So, as I mentioned, this is totally optional as far as putting little liquid pearls on here. You could do rhinestones if you want. Or again, if you can find a nice patterned paper, you don't need to do anything like this. I'm just trying to experiment here. But anyway, you'll notice that going lengthwise across this here, you do have, there's score lines. Okay, so essentially all we're gonna be doing is folding this in half until all of these lines that essentially go from each end completely are folded. So I'm literally just gonna keep folding it in half. Okay, so I just folded it in half, literally. Okay, and I'm just gonna rotate it. So say this is the line here, find the next line. There's a line right here. So pretend that now that is the center. And make sure that you find the correct line that actually goes all the way through the center. So now, this is my center. Okay, so that was, I folded it there, now I folded it here. Now I've got this next line here that goes all the way across there. Now that is gonna be my center. So let's just fold it right down the center. Okay, and now you can see what's happening. 1, 2, 3 folds, 1, 2, 3 folds. And we're just gonna keep doing that, finding the nice straight lines. And we're just gonna kind of keep folding it in half while we rotate it. Okay, and then here is my next set of lines where I'm folding it in half. And now here is the next one. Let me double check that. No, it's this one here. And just make sure you're folding it in half each time. And eventually, because you keep rotating by one, you're still doing the other side too. And I've got one left here, I think, yep. And we're just gonna fold it right down the middle at that line. Okay, so now we have all these straight lines are folded now. You can see as I kind of bend it, you can see what we have here. Now, all that's left to do now, you'll notice that there are these little slits here, okay? So there's a slit there, there's a slit there, but at this seam, this slit kind of goes across this line, but it doesn't go across this line. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to fold this at the horizontal slits. So these two sides, they kind of go together. You want to sandwich them together. So you do not want to sandwich this side together. This slit needs to go through the center here. Okay, so again, you see this slit here, how it goes through this vertical line. That's the point at which you want to fold it. So you do not want to fold it at this line because the slit does not go through this line. So here we go. So we're going to fold it here. And then we're just going to start off by right here, just pretend that this is one segment of the tree. We're going to put a little bit of glue right at the very bottom of this. Okay, I'm just going to spread that glue nice and thin. And we're going to glue that to itself just at the bottom here. And I'm going to hold that. Okay, I'm going to hold that until it's nice and set. Okay, now going up to the next section here. Well, actually, I'm going to just be a little more patient here. Okay, now here you can see the slit goes across this line. This slit here goes across this line. So these two sections, they're going to come together like so. And you can actually fold it. You can see these two sections here. We're just kind of folding them together. And just like I did the first time, I'm going to take and put a little bit of glue right there at the bottom, like that. And I'm going to take this section here and glue it to that section there. Just right at the bottom. We're trying to keep the bottom nice and closed up. Okay, just like that. And then we can move on over here. And we'll get the next section. Just throw a little bit of glue right there. And bring that in. Whoops, that came apart because I wasn't waiting long enough. I jumped the gun. I already made two of these, And that never happened because I was taking my time. Sometimes when I get on video, I do rush a little bit. So I'm gonna go back and fix that, and I'm gonna be more patient this time and make sure that it really, really, really sets before we move on. And actually that one there, I'm just gonna be patient. So you can see here what we're doing, and you're wondering, how the heck did you get that? Get that cool dimensional look. You'll see. It's very simple, actually. All right, so is that one ready, you guys think? I don't think so. Now, and the bad part about putting glue on and not waiting long enough for it to set and having to reapply it, you're essentially applying glue onto almost like a plastic. So it nearly doubles, if I don't know the exact number, but it certainly doesn't help as far as drying time. When you're putting glue on top of glue, you're just kind of making it even harder for yourself, which is why you always want to make sure that you wait for your glue to dry before you do anything else. Okay, so again, now what we're going to do, just to make this easier, is I'm just going to take this and fold this over onto itself like this. We're going to take these two bottom pieces, the next two sections, and just kind of squeeze them together like so. And we're going to get those glued in place. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of glue here at the bottom, like that. And just take the next section over, bring it in, and we're connecting these two sections together. And I'm just going to press and hold that in place. Okay, I think you can probably kind of figure out where we're going with all this. It is a little tedious because, yeah, there we go, see? I already had glue on there. And it's taking a little bit longer. That's okay. Now another thing too, while I'm holding that down, you can absolutely just start taking these and start folding them, kind of creating a more prominent crease. You're going to go back and forth a few times, and that might kind of loosen things up a little bit, make it easier on you. I still haven't glued those sections together, but I'm getting them ready to. Okay, so we've got that section done. Now you can naturally see that these two are going to go together here. Okay, so just throw a little bit of glue right at the bottom here. And I might just be putting too much on there. That's probably one of the reasons why it's taking so long. And we'll just squeeze that right up against the inside of the other side, its neighbor essentially. And just press and hold that in place while that sets. That worked out nicely. And then these two are going to go together at the bottom. So this side here and this side here. So we can take a little bit of glue, pop it right there. Okay, and we'll just take this side and just push it right up against that side. Like that. Just press and hold. Give that a chance to set. Okay, yeah, we're getting there. Whoops. And you can see what's starting to happen here. We're getting, well, creating a Christmas tree. And I'll show you. The last part's probably, it's super easy. It doesn't even require any glue. So you really want to be patient with this bottom section here and really let this get a good hold. I'm probably doing this in half the time that I did with my first two trees that you see here. Just because when I was doing this before, I was listening to a podcast and kind of just spacing out and wasn't really too worried about time or being boring. Okay, so now we're going to take these next two sections. So this section here and this section here, we're going to squeeze them together and get that glued in place, just like we did every single one up to this point. And with this, again, less is more when it comes to the glue. The more you have on there, the longer you're going to be waiting, especially with all this tension that this piece naturally creates. Okay, so I got glue there, and I'm just going to connect it to this section here and just press and hold that down while it sets. Okay. And did I get enough glue on there? Maybe, maybe not. There we go. Just popping that back into place. There we go. Okay, so you can see these two are naturally going to go together. And at this point here, it may be a little difficult to get your glue nozzle in there. So all I do is throw a little bit of glue on a scrap piece of paper, and I literally just take it and paint it right on the bottom there. You can see that glue right on the bottom, and I'll just take it and just pinch it together right at that point. Probably way too much glue on that, so I'll be holding this for a few minutes, that's for sure, but that's okay. Okay, actually that's not too bad. And then while we're kind of holding that tight, I still have some glue on there. I'll just paint that on the last little section here, and then you can see these two are going to go together here. And you just press and squeeze those together. Okay, so in a second here, we'll do a reveal. I'll flip this over so you can see what this is starting to look like. And I got some glue in my hands here. Well, that ain't going to help either. Okay. I'll show you, and you can actually, at this point, you can kind of try to space this out so that each of these sections is even. Okay, and that's what we have. So now check this out. So what we're going to do, this top, the crown here, there's nothing to do there, but if you look, one section below that, there are sections that have little score marks. You're going to take that whole section and just fold it over to the left, and then go down to the next section, fold that over to the left. Okay, and then we're going to keep on cruising, fold that down to the left, and then fold that down to the left, right at the score mark. It's 2 layers that you're folding over, and then that is what you end up with. Okay, and then we're just going to keep on going around the tree, doing that same exact thing. And just folding it right at the score mark. Give it a really nice tight pinch. Now if you are doing what I did with the liquid pearls, you're going to want to make sure that you let those dry for a while. I let mine dry for a long time. Okay, and you can see what's starting to happen here. And then you just go on to the next segment and just keep on just folding that right over. Okay, so we've got 3 sections folded over, literally going onto the next little segment here, and right at the score marks, just taking that and just folding it over and pressing down, giving it a good pinch, and then just pinching that down right at the score mark there. Okay, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit on that so you can see. Okay, so again, right at these segments here, you can see, you may not see it on camera, but we're just literally going to take it right at that score mark and just fold it over to your left. And just press that down and then squeeze it down. And then we're going to go right here, do the same thing, squeeze that down. And we're going to go right here, right at the score mark, just press that down and pinch it. And bring it back up a little bit if it goes too far. And then right there, there's a score mark. And then right there, there's a score mark. And there you have it. Okay. And just moving right along to the next one. Right at that score mark, just fold it over and then give it a good solid pinch. There we go. And right there at that score mark, bam. There you go. Okay, and it just leaves a couple more. It's kind of fun once you get into kind of an assembly line. And just literally just pushing it over and folding it over all the way, and then just kind of lifting it up so it kind of dangles there suspended about halfway up. So you can see it started off like this, and we're just literally just folding it over onto itself, and that's what creates that dimensional look there. Okay, and there we go. Just folding that over. Okay, and there we go. That's how we're going to create all 4 of our trees. Definitely different and unique, and you can see that from a top view what that looks like. Looks really cool. You can see it from the bottom, and then if you need to, you can kind of just space these little ribs out however you want. Just kind of give them a little push this way or that, and that is what we're going to be gluing down to our tree trunk. So I'm going to walk you through the assembly of the tree one more time, because maybe you'll see or catch something at a certain angle that maybe you didn't the first time. And that's all we want to do, is make sure that you are successful with this. Okay, and let's take a look and see what this looks like from the other angle. That looks really cool. Okay, so, all right, back to our tree here. Okay, so as I mentioned, I think the easiest way to do this is literally just to fold along the center, and there's a bunch of center lines. There's this center line here, and then if you rotate it, you got that one, you got that one, you got that one, and essentially we're just folding it right at the center in as many centers as we can. So there's our first center. And we can unfold it, and then we're going to go to this next line right here and just follow it all the way across. So this is our next center line, and I'm just going to fold it right at that center line like that. Okay, so there's that center line, there's that center line. I'm going to go up to this one here, next one up, and that one goes all the way across that way. So you just need to fold it right at that center line, like so. And we can go to this center line now. What is that thing? Right there. It goes all the way across. So let's do that one. And just fold that. Okay, and we'll go to that center line. Let's just fold that. Just like that. And then we'll go to the next one. So again, just find the center lines, fold it just to get everything nice and creased. Essentially, we're just creasing the fold lines, but using kind of a quicker method that also will prevent this thing from getting destroyed if you sit there and try to do just one segment at a time. All right, so that leaves all of these lines now scored. And again, remember, if you break this down into little segments here, let me just kind of hide some sections here. Okay, so now remember, let's pretend that this is one of the sections here. This guy here, you'll notice that you see the little slits there. We've got a line here, and the slit goes across this line that I just pointed out. This center line, the slit goes across it. Now, if we take our paper and move it this way, you notice that this is also two sections with a center line, but the slit does not go across this center line. Okay, so again, we want to make sure that we take and fold it at the section where the slit goes across the line that we're creating when we fold it. I think that actually makes perfect sense. Okay, and just to kind of help this thing find its natural shape, we've folded here, and then I'm just going to kind of, almost like a rosette, I'm just going to kind of fold it back and forth, like create a valley fold and then a mountain fold, just to help it figure out which way it wants to go, and then just occasionally it's essentially like making a rosette. And I'm not gluing anything yet, I'm just kind of helping this thing figure out how it needs to fold. There we go. Okay, so we got that, and that's going to go like that. That's good. And we don't have to do it all the way around. It just kind of helps it. You can see how it naturally now creates those little sections there. We're going to glue these together because, again, this vertical line has the slit that goes through the vertical line. These are the two sections that we're going to glue together. So right at the very bottom, get your glue on there. I'm going to spread that glue nice and thin. You don't need a lot. And I'm just going to glue those two sections together, just at the bottom. Again, I will repeat, the little slit is going through this line here. So you can see the little slit on both sides of this segment. Okay, just keep holding that. Ideally, you're gonna be very patient, very, very patient, and let that dry completely before you move on to the next section, which is these two here. We're gonna glue these two together. And I am just going to put a little bit of glue there at the bottom, spread that nice and thin, and we're just going to take and sandwich these two sections together now. If you want, you can kind of sandwich them together on top of the other ones that we already kind of sandwiched together, just to thicken it up, make it easier. And you can actually, while you do that, kind of hold together two sections at the same time, just in case that one's still not completely dry. So that does sort of speed things up for you. Okay, so we got two sections together. Now as we kind of bring this over, these two sections are going to go together. You can check your work, make sure that the slit is going across this line, and it is. So I'll go ahead and just throw a little bit of glue right at the bottom. Doesn't matter if you put it on this side or this side, since we're gluing these two sections together. Okay, and I'm actually just going to pop it right on top of this other section that I've already been holding in place. I think that's going to give me a better result. I'm only gluing these two sections together, but I'm kind of squeezing all of these together to continually apply pressure to those areas where I had my glue. Okay, so again, now these two sections are going to go together. And just throw a little bit of glue right on there. Pop that over on top of this guy. You could do it this way and just apply pressure just to this section, but I'm literally just kind of putting it right on top of the rest of them so I can continue to apply pressure on all of these guys at the same time. Now I'm going to say that these first three sections that I already did, they're probably fine. So I'm going to go ahead and move over this way and just kind of create a new grouping over here as far as what I'm squeezing each time. So we'll put some glue on this section here because this section is going to get glued to the inside of this section at this seam. So we'll just take that, grab them together, but I'm going to literally just push it over on this side just to make it easier to glue those together. So just these two sections are being glued right now, but I'm taking this one and squeezing both of these sections at the same time. Okay, so that just leaves, now you can see it just leaves these two to get glued together, this one and this guy here. So we'll just do one at a time. Throw a little bit of glue right at the base of that. Spread that nice and thin. And take this side, glue it right there, just like that. And again, if you want, you can squeeze all these together. That way you can continue to press that glue into those separate sections. It looks like I might be like gluing all three of these together. I'm not. Again, these in between here is the only place with the glue. I'm just sandwiching all of these together at the same time to continue to let that glue really set. Okay, so that just leaves two more sections that need some glue, and it's getting a little tough now. So I'm going to grab a scrap piece of paper, load it up with a nice amount of glue, and literally just paint it right on the inside there. And then take those two sections and glue them together, press and hold. Again, you can take a couple more and do it that way. Actually makes it easier for whatever reason. Okay. Here we go, and that just leaves one more. So I'm going to use my scrap because there's no way I'm getting my glue nozzle in there. Okay, and I'm just going to paint that glue right at the very bottom. Right at the very bottom. And then take these two pieces and squeeze them together. But I'm essentially just going to take them and squeeze them together with the aid of all of these layers to kind of thicken it up, make it more stable. Okay, you can squeeze just these two if you want, but all I'm doing is I'm taking these and just squeezing all these together at the same time. Not gluing them together, just kind of using them as extra leverage. And see, that one actually came out a lot better at the bottom there. Okay, so back to the top of our tree now. I think that's probably pretty good. We're going to skip the crown, go down to the next section where the score lines begin, and just fold over to the left right at the score mark. And then you're going to go down each little section and just give it a real good squeeze and pinch. Make sure that it's nice and folded at those score marks there. And that is what creates that cool dimensional look. And you're just going to go all the way around the tree on each section, folding at the little score marks. Pretty cool little trees. Just going to go all the way around. Just folding at the score marks, just like that. Look at that. Okay, and there we go. Working your way all the way around. Pressing them down. Until we get all the way around to complete this tree, just like I did here with the other three in front of me. And they really have a cool woodsy look about them. I like them a lot, actually. They feel very North Woodsy. When I say North Woodsy, I mean Wisconsin. Even though they have a lot of hardwoods up there, but they also have a lot of evergreens, and there's a point in which it just really starts to change from hardwoods to evergreens. You can see it happening, like literally within a couple miles, but it's got a very cabiny feel to it, I think. But maybe it's just because I'm partial to that way of life and that whole area up there, so I could just be biased. But anyway, again, just going around and just folding at the score marks, the entire thing. I know it's 2 layers thick, but that's fine. That's the whole idea here. It makes it kind of look and feel dimensional, and it is, but without like having to build boxes and stuff. It's literally just kind of flat paper that's just being manipulated. Okay, there you go. And just one section left, and we're on the home stretch here. And like I said, I've got my hot glue fired up. We're going to take that and literally just hot glue these down to our stems. And the thing you want to do at this point, when you do start hot gluing this down, is depending on how accurately you got these put together, I would probably kind of do like an eagle eye top-down sort of stance as you're gluing these down, so that when that hot glue really solidifies, you're sure that this thing's going straight up and down, and then it's not, bending over one way or another. So, and again, you want to make sure that you get it nice and centered, and then as it's setting, take a look at it and just make sure it's nice and perpendicular. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put glue right here on the very bottom of this. Just like that. Just kind of cake it without over caking it. So be generous, but don't make a huge mess. Okay, and pop it down onto your stem. Make sure that it's nice and centered. Take a look at it from this angle as well. Make sure that it is not crooked. There we go. That looks great. Let's see that from this angle. Yep. Whoops. That looks very nice. Okay. So there's one, hopefully that's gonna stick. I think I put enough on there. All right, move it on to the next one here. Get some nice hot glue on there. Okay, and again, make sure you get it nice and centered. Pardon my head for just one moment. And as it's setting, once you're sure you have it centered, also make sure that it is nice and straight up and down. Oh yeah, that looks great. Okay, 2 down. Not hard at all. Definitely want to use hot glue for this section. Okay, so nice ball of hot glue right there in the center. Flip her over, kind of do an eagle eye. Make sure you get it nice and centered first and foremost. And then when you're sure you have it centered, take a peek from the side and just make sure that it's not going left or right. It's nice and straight. That looks good too. Let me see here. Oh yeah, looking good. Just one more. And I guess that was probably the first one I made, and you can see how you doing, glue gun? That center part isn't as closed off as the other ones. I don't know if that's going to work as well. We'll find out. Okay, again, make sure it's nice and centered. Kind of look at it from above and let that glue kind of seep down. And take a look at it from the side. Make sure that you got it nice and straight. There we go. Yep. I think God did a good job. Well, let's take a look and see what that looks like from that angle. Okay, well, that about does it for this project. Again, I have these little LED lights that I just pop under there, and as you can see here, I've got low battery on this guy here, but you can, change the colors up on them. And it's a little bright in here right now, so it's hard to see. I could maybe do that in a green. Maybe not working. There we go. Anyway, you get the idea. Really cute project, and I guarantee this one's going to get. Wow, is that paper? You're going to hear a lot of that, I'm sure, with this one, just because of the, how dimensional the trees are. They look really, really cool. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Take a look at the final photo for this project, so you can see some other things that we're going to do to this. Well, I'm going to add some rhinestones to these little circular corners here, and probably going to put. I've got some bling on a roll that we're going to put around the tree trunks to kind of bling those out because they're a little plain. You could probably throw some rhinestones on there too. I have a feeling that many of you are going to probably, and I already thought about this, but take a little bit of cord or some of that really fuzzy ribbon and use it as a garland. I could see some toppers on here, obviously. You could do, actually, I am going to put some toppers on here. If you don't have any toppers, you can always take two pearls and just glue them together to make like a circle if you don't have a full, complete, circular pearl. But anyway, decorate it to your heart's content, however you want to decorate it, make it your own. But again, it's a great little project, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, take a moment and head over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, and while you're there, hit the little bell so that you get notifications anytime we release a new product, such as this one, or any of our freebies for that matter. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I would love to see it, and so would the almost 24,000 dreamers that inspire us daily. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can type in this little URL here at the bottom. It'll take you right there. So anyway, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. It probably isn't Christmas yet when you're watching this, but you're getting there. But either way, hope you had a good time, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again.